Hello, humans. Welcome to the M Word podcast, brought to you by Martin, that's me, and Matt, that's him. Max, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. I think, I'm not sure we've actually done an M Word one since Max and Dot were on, maybe one. But yeah, we chatted after that pod, and it was obviously, I wouldn't say your first professional career, but certainly first year with EF, and we wanted to try and catch up as much as we can, really, to see the experiences you're going through. For those that maybe don't follow cycling, you should, firstly. But it's been great watching, because for those that don't do cycling, you're very much, or my observation is, you stick your head in the wind a lot. You're very visible, certainly watching the racing, which is hard to do at, obviously, at a very elite level you're at now. So maybe we just talk about your journey from the start of the year. So you went to Australia first. Well, in fact, let's take it back a step. So EF was a change. Is it called Neo Pro that you'd rode with Astana?
I'd say that's, I don't know.
Right.
It is technically Neo Pro, but because I was on the development team, sometimes racing up, I'd say this year would be my first proper
Full pro.
Neo Pro year, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was sort of a stepping stone between amateur and professional.
Yeah, okay. And obviously you did some quality races last year. That if we then go to Australia this year, where you started the season, do you see a step up?
Yeah, for sure. It was, I don't know, it was just in the races when you'd get to the climbs or a hard part, everyone was good, and you'd be trying to look around, hearing people breathing heavy, and you normally in a race last year, even at the high level ones, there'd be maybe 100 guys who were good, and then maybe the last 50 are a bit worse than you anyway. So you can see where people are suffering, but you get to that race and every single person there is really good, and you're sort of like, oh, there's no one suffering more than I am. Yeah, it feels like that anyway.
And do you have a training camp as well before that first race?
Yeah, we had a training camp in November, but that was quite relaxed.
Yeah,
Everyone had just came off their little break. So
okay, so at that stage you go out with, I assume, I guess, people on cyclists, but what you might consider high street names. You're not really getting let's call it a shoeing or a kicking. It's just out rides, meeting each other, and
yeah. Some people try to give you a kick.
All right.
I think especially when you're new to the team, I think they try to test you a little bit.
Oh, okay.
It's not too hard now.
Yeah, right. Okay. And are you on a training camp? Are you allocated? Do they stick an experienced pro with you to kind of be with you and look after you, or is it just picking the how? Do they stick English guys together? How does it work?
Sort of. I was rooming with Mikel Honoré, who's been pro for maybe 5 or 6 years now, and that I think that was done on purpose to sort of, he's really professional and knows what he's doing. I think just to tell you what to do, make sure you're on time, stuff like that. My friends who have been pros for a few years, they sort of just, I think they roomed together because the team knew they were friends. So
yeah, right.
I think if you've been in the team for a while and they know that you get on with certain people, they'll put you together. But if you're new, they'll try to put you with someone who's experienced.
Yeah, and high standards to start your standards. Interesting. So then, is that when you went to the Tour Down Under? So for those that don't follow cycling, the cycling season certainly nowadays starts really in January and follows the sun ultimately, doesn't it? So we start down in Australia with racing down there. So how early in advance did you get notice you had to go down there? Because some of them are pretty spiky races, and you're straight into the team and straight into, and we'll come on to obviously massive spring races as well. But when did you first know you were heading down there to race?
That was even before the training camp. That was I found out maybe very start of November. So yeah, just I started training properly again. I got told. I was quite happy with it.
Yeah.
I quite fancy going to Australia. And
that the first time you've been there?
I've been there with my family maybe 5-10 years ago, but yeah, first time riding my bike there. It was really nice.
Right.
And yeah, for the training, it was nice as well, because I went out 2 weeks before the race, and then I was there with the team for 2 weeks. So it was actually sort of like a training camp with racing at the end.
Yeah, right. What's the dynamics of, I guess some of Soigneurs you're meeting for the first time, and what, I assume, it's like, I suppose just starting a new job, it's just meeting the people, getting to know yourself. I presume try and keep a low profile. Do you put yourself out there and try and meet people, or do you much more, fairly reserved guy, and you more I'll just do what I need to do, keep a low profile? What does Max approach this?
Within the team, I try to speak to all the staff, get to know them all, try to ask questions about themselves rather than talking about me, try be as nice as possible to them, because they're the ones that are helping me at the end of the day. That's.
And just how many are in the team? Like, there must be, as in take out the cycling lot, there must be a massive kind of convoy that's all involved in setting up that team.
I think at the training camp, that was all the staff and all the riders, but with the men and women's team, because the staff sort of overlap, I think there was 200 people there, maybe around that number anyway. It was a lot of people that I didn't know half their names. And like I think I met quite a few of them at the training camp, and I get to the race. And I was like, I'm sure I've seen you before.
I mean, remembering all those names off the top of your head's hard, isn't it? So that first race then, the Tour Down Under, was that the first one, or was Cadel Evans' race before that?
No, Tour Down Under was first, then we do a race called Surf Coast Classic and Cadel Evans.
Right. And so talk us a bit about the Tour Down Under. How was that as first experience then? If instead of maybe 100 guys, there's all 180 guys are motoring, should we say?
It was. I really enjoyed the race. It was a bit more relaxed than the race I've done recently, but the level is still really high. Sort of not a shock, but a shock for so many people to be going so well at the start of the year.
Yeah, right.
Just sometimes you'd hit the climbs and they just fly off, and at the time it felt like I was doing no power at all. And I look after the stage and I'll be doing like 500 or 600 watts and just going backwards because they're all sprinting at the bottom of the climb.
All right, okay.
But at the time, it feels like you're going backwards.
And are you given going into this? Are you given expectations, or is it your first tour? Just get a feel for the pack, the team, or is it you're expected to do certain positions, a job for anyone? Like how's that approach from a team point of view for you?
There wasn't much expectation. It was more for like fitness point anyway, use that race to build for the classic season. But then in the race also just get used to working with the team. It was quite useful, that race, I'd say, because every day I'd get given a job to do, which would normally be ride in the wind. So the team leaders don't need to like do the hard part before the climb and then also ride the climb. But that was quite good because I've done it a little bit in the past, but not much. So it was useful for the other riders when you're in the race behind to sort of shout to tell you what to do. And then after each stage, because we had quite a young group there, the DS would go over everything we'd done right and everything we'd done wrong. And then the next day trying to do it a little bit better. And that was, good for the recent races.
And in that peloton, I assume the team are ultimately helping push you and help you, as in push you in the right direction and do things. But do you have a vibe that let's say most of the other rest of the peloton know you're new and therefore they try and they feel they can maybe nudge you around a bit more, use elbows, or do you not get that? Does it feel not welcoming, but
I wouldn't say it's not welcoming. No, I think I was a bit surprised. Like in the easier part of the stages, everyone would be quite friendly, but then once you get to the racing, it doesn't matter if you're Pogačar or me, like first year pro. That it's just every man for themselves, really.
Yeah. So you mentioned spring season there. So again, for those that don't follow cycling, it follows the race tends to go to the Middle East, and then in sort of March, April time, there's what they call the spring classics, which we'll come on to in sort of Belgium and France and in those areas. It's a very iconic part of cycling. So at that stage, back in going to Tour Down Under, you were obviously getting sort of pushed to say, look, you're riding these spring classics for the team.
That was from the November campaign.
Oh, okay, right.
What my program was.
Was that a surprise to you, just out of interest? And I'll tell you the reason I ask, only because, obviously, you're an exceptionally good rider. Mm-hmm. The races you're doing, like Paris Roubaix, which we'll come on to talk about, they're obviously the pinnacle, really, of races to be in, and often they want to, they might let cyclists a year or 2 years before they're kind of thrown onto some of the toughest races in the world. So was that a surprise to go, look, you're likely in the mix for these what are classic races?
Yeah, it was. Obviously, I knew I was doing Tour Down Under, but then until I got told at the camp, the full first half of the calendar, when I was in the meeting, they were like, are you happy with that? I was like, of course, yeah. Every race is like a race I've dreamt of doing. So I was, a bit surprised, but happy surprise.
Yeah. Okay, so we do the Tour Down Under. We finished 33rd. think you got here. Is that right?
The last race, yeah.
The Cadell Evans, which is a one-day race. So for those that don't know, Cadell was a former rider and runs that one day. Something Pete Kenyick, a local cycling superstars, won previously a number of years ago as well. And then it's finished there, leave that nice warm weather, and come back to Europe.
Yeah, it was absolutely freezing here. I think the Cadell Evans was nearly 40 degrees. It was like 38, 39 degrees all day. Then I flew back here and went out, and it was like 2 degrees.
What am I doing here?
Yeah.
How was the Manx skin in the sun down there?
Oh, it wasn't that good, to be honest. I get burned quite easily.
Yeah. It's again, I suppose, climate time. I guess not done a mass amount of racing in super hot weather.
No, but before I went, the team sent me a load of hot rides to do.
Oh, okay.
On a turbo with the heaters on.
Interesting.
And also baths and stuff. So the actual riding in the heat wasn't too bad because I prepared, but yeah, I still got a bit sunburnt.
So doing those rides, say, out there, do you, obviously the nutrition and hydration is really important. Are they guiding you through that? I know I've seen on bikes, they'll say, make sure you drink a bottle every hour, 2 hours. The DS on the radio to you and the team saying, have you had enough? Is that on you to think about that?
No, well, it's on us to do it, but we also get reminded of it a lot.
Yeah.
Like when I went to Australia for the weeks before the race, I was recording, pretty much trying to record how much sweat I was losing for the rides with the nutritionist. So like weighing yourself before, recording how much you wee if you need to wee on the bike, or how much you drink and how much you've lost afterwards, and then they can sort of recommend how much you need in the race.
Does that nutritionist, is that something personal to you, or is that a team nutritionist that helps you?
That's a team nutritionist.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Can you, I assume people or cyclists can get their own, or they just use their team nutritionist? And the same question for training. Do they give you, or do you just have to find your own coach, or how does the training aspect also work?
I think it's different with every team. On EF, I think the majority of riders have a coach which is from the team.
Okay.
I've got my own coach who I started with last year, and that was something I asked for because since I started with him, my results improved quite a lot. So I wanted to keep him because it was working well, and then the team were happy with that because they saw that I'd progressed quite a lot since I started. So that's gone well this year. My coach works alongside the teams, coaching staff, but yes, all the training I do is from the coach.
So then nutrition-wise, that their nutritionists helping you, and they're also then communicating how many calories. Because I assume ultimately that a lot of it's data-driven. They're seeing what you're burning through races and rides and recommending. So again, I don't want to harbour on weight because it's probably talked about too much in cycling. But is that something that's been talked about, and obviously not heavy at all, but is that part of general conversation in cycling of like, look, if we're doing these races, we need to maybe shift a kilo here or not, or they just don't talk about it?
They do talk about it. It's not like you're doing this race, you need to lose 2 kilos.
Fat ass.
You're doing this, put on a bit of muscle. It's just trying to make sure you're at a healthy weight for the goals you want. So for me, I've not had to lose any because they're happy with the weight I'm at.
Yeah.
Like the muscle I've got and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm sure for some other riders, maybe the leaders, they may be a bit more pushy with it. But
yeah, I know. I remember when we first chatted a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago, you seem to have a lucky metabolism where you kind of, I wouldn't say quite eat what you want, but you don't have to overly worry about it, which I imagine's a bonus.
I think, I've just over the years of racing, I think I sort of know how much generally to have, because at some races I've been tracking everything I've been eating, just so the nutritionist on the team can see if I need to change anything, and it's been pretty spot on.
Yeah, right.
So I'm quite lucky with that. Not to have an extra stress.
Yeah. Well, too right. Yeah. So we come back to Europe to race. Talk a bit about those first couple of races. Remind me what they were in the spring. So just to recap the spring classics. So we come back to Europe. The classics they're all really one-day races, aren't they? Some of them will date back 100 years. And they're called spring classics, but they're run all through the spring, aren't they? And there's kind of the monuments, which are the 4 or 5 iconic. I think they have to be over like 240 kilometres. They're considered classics, but there's many races around that are called semi-classics, I guess, aren't they, as well, which are just as hard and difficult races. So
so after Australia, the first race was Paris.
Okay, not a classic, by the way.
Not a classic, but a hard
stage race. Yeah,
then,
too right. Yeah.
San Remo.
So what was? Did I know you'd done San Remo? So Paris is a stage race, often used for Tour de France. State potential Tour de France winners, should we say, as a prep? I don't know whether any of them were there. But
Yeah, I think Vingegaard was there.
all right. Okay. How was that on the climbs, and how did you go in? It's got a TT and a time trial in it.
I had a TTT, and so the first two stages were quite flat and sort of near Paris, so a bit windy and just a bit chaotic. So for those 2 days, my job was just to literally just sit in the wind all day, keep my teammates in the wheel, keep them out of trouble. So a lot different to what I was used to, because it was just a bit weird. Just you'd be riding down a road, you'd see a corner come up, there'd be 5 different teams lined out across the road. Everyone sprints to this random corner, so if there is a crash, you're in front of it.
Oh, okay.
And then you get to the next road, you ride a bit easier or next to each other until the next corner.
Right.
Then sprint again. That was my job for maybe an hour.
Right. Okay.
For each day coming towards the
Who was your
finish.
team leader for that?
It was Nielsen Powers.
Oh, okay.
He was going for GC.
Right. Okay.
Then we did the TTT, which
So that's time trial, but the whole team do it together.
I enjoyed that. It was good, but hard.
I presume that was really your first experience of. I don't know whether you've even done a TTT before.
I've done one
Maybe on the Isle of Man.
Well, yeah, on the Isle
mates.
of Man, but also in under 23 races. But in those ones, I've always been one of the stronger riders.
Right.
This time I was one of the weaker riders.
Right. Okay.
It was
And
a
it's a
different experience.
Yeah. So how's the? Because again, you're in a new team with new people. Is the communication all right? It's what's that like?
Yeah, it was really good. We rode the course in the morning. We have meetings about what power they want you to do on the front, what lineup you're going in, all that stuff. And then in the race, you've got the manager following you to sort of guiding you through the corners. And
Oh, okay. So you'll hear it on the radio.
yeah, you hear on the radio. So if you're sort of slowing the team down, they'll tell you to change to the back to get someone new on the front, or stuff like that. It's sort of quite straightforward.
And go on.
No, I was just saying there. So rather than what you imagine is you got off. What you initially think you guys are all communicating and talking, it's not. You're just literally concentrating while they're monitoring that so specifically, watching your power, and then just.
I'd say
direct.
in the race, it's more the riders communicating. But you still have the DS telling you on the radio like the important stuff, which you might forget when you high heart rate. But in the actual race, it's all the riders are just sort of shouting commands sort of at each other, because they can feel when the speed's going down. Or stuff like that.
Or seeing people struggle to get on the back or peeled off. So tell us, Max, because the nerds will want to know. Kind of talk a bit about power. That you might do a turn on the front there. What are you doing? Like 30 seconds. Oh, come on, blow our mind.
I think the turns were meant to be 15 to 20 seconds.
Right.
And each time, I think mine was meant to be between 5 and 500.
Right.
But yeah, we started off and I was behind the smallest guy on the team.
Oh, great. Perfect.
I wasn't getting much draft, and I looked down and I was doing 500 watts on his
Oh, were you?
before my actual turn.
No, all right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, because I assume, again, at a stadium, obviously, I guess, but you're told the order to go in from the start.
Yeah, you get told that.
You're like, why have I got this tiny guy in front of me?
And I'm there to try to take up the load of the small guy, and then because I'm one of the taller riders, have one of the leaders behind me to make
the windbreaker,
because I'm not there for the whole time trial. I'm there for maybe 3/4 of it, and then finish it off. So it's better to use me early.
Right.
And save them for the finish.
Right. And you obviously got through it. How, the first, I suppose, let's say stage race at pro level, how was that? Obviously you raced later in the spring, but body all right after it?
I was obviously pretty tired, but it was not too bad.
Right.
It was weird, I think stage 4 and 5, my legs felt really bad there, just like suffering all day, but then like stage 7 and 8, they felt so much better than.
Can you tell when you first got on your bike now, can you tell within an hour, I feel good today or not?
Yeah, normally after about 10-15 minutes,
Right.
I'd say. In those stages, you can tell straight away normally.
Right.
Sometimes you feel bad and they come round, but most of the time you can tell.
I should say there, and where you said stage 4, 5, where you felt the legs. Do you have any leeway in typically your orders will be you're sitting on the front for the next 4 hours.
Like sore or not.
And and you don't really have actually I'm having a bad day, or is it a case of actually there's another, person on the team you can kind of share that load with, or is it kind of, no, sorry, you're doing your job until your legs fall off?
Yeah, there will be other people on the team which they can sort of pick up the slack if you're not doing well, but they won't tell you to just not do your job. You'll still have to go
Till you spar the back.
as long as you can, and then if it's not as long as they expect, then someone else will have to pick it up. But they're still expecting you to.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
What's the feedback from after races? Obviously, it's twofold. It's this what you did well, going well. Here's the areas I presume it's a good constructive environment.
Yeah, it definitely is. After each stage, we always have a debrief on what we did well and wrong. Well and bad. It's always good. Yeah, some riders are a bit more vocal in telling others how to do, but it's quite nice.
What's Max like?
I'm new to the team, so I just
Keep quiet.
Keep quiet, and if someone's got something wrong with what I've done, then I'd like them to tell me, just so I know what to do next time. I've not called out anyone else so far.
And not picking on specifics there, is it just that, what sort of feedback in that sense? Because again, if you're all together, if you didn't protect someone long enough, you didn't do enough turns, or what sort of things can people typically do wrong then that are highlighted in this feedback? No, but that's what I mean. It's interesting because again, for a big pack, sit on there, protect your guy. How can you do things wrong in that would be fed back?
Sometimes, I don't know. It depends on what you got told to do at the start of the meeting. Sometimes you see riders will be having a bad day and they just won't even bother trying to do their job. So obviously they'll be getting told off. But even like for me, when I'm trying to ride the front, there's a lot of things you can do to help the rest of your teammates. So like when I said about sprinting to the corners, the first time I did it, I didn't know, but say if I'm on the very right-hand side of the road and the right-hand corner's coming up, if I start sprinting to try to get into the corner first, I should start trying to veer a bit left into the rest of the bunch, so then the rest of my teammates can sort of come up next to me. Then we can all take the corner first, rather than the guy sixth in the team isn't taking the corner 50th.
Okay.
Just little things like that. It won't be people shouting at each other or anything. It will be more because the managers see it from the car. They don't really know the full picture. So it'll be the managers asking us how we think it went, what they saw from the car, and then sort of some points for the next stage of what we can do better.
Is in this world that you're now in, is it a lot different than you maybe thought, or just like I thought it was? I've been cycling obviously for a long time, and you a lot. I've gone to. Is this for you when you amount of information and things you have to think about? Is it just another level or not?
It is another level. Just with everyone, the speed everyone's riding, and this just like the skill everyone's got in the bunch. Like just to even get to the front of the bunch sometimes is so hard. Just with how close everyone's riding. It's definitely a lot more skilled than.
You haven't learned any like French or
it would be.
any swear words yet? So
not yet. I'm sure I've been called a few times.
Actually weaving your way
I've
through.
not learned any now.
So Paris Nice, and then you went up to, I assume, up to the north.
Belgium, I did San Remo, and then I went to Belgium.
So let's just talk briefly about San Remo. So those that again don't know a race, that is one of the monuments they call them. It's like 280 kilometers, maybe the longest race you've probably ever done.
Yeah, by far.
And I think I was listening to a quick interview with Matty Brennan. So he's a young lad as well. He's kind of breaking through, and he said the struggle. He said at the end of Paris Roubaix, which is another long race, it's that last kind of, let's say the first, second year younger guys, let's call you guys. It's that last 30 or 40 kilometers that you just don't have in your legs because you're not raced for a couple of years. Would you agree with that comment? Or were you flying at the end of Marino?
No, I wasn't. I was okay, but I wasn't flying. It's definitely, I think the longest race I'd done, or like the longest stages I would do, like last year, would be around 210 kilometers. Then you've got San Remo, which is 290 kilometers. And then, Flanders and Roubaix, I think, are both around 270.
Yeah, right.
So they're about an hour and a half longer than I'd ever raced before. And you sort of, you can definitely feel it. I could feel my legs going with maybe like an hour to go.
Right.
Because, yeah, maybe I'd normally finish a 200k race thinking, sort of trained for that. Knowing I could maybe go for 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could definitely tell the last hour that I'd not done before. But even, like, by Roubaix, even doing the 2 other races, which were similar length, it definitely felt a little bit easier.
Yeah, you start building that endurance, I guess, isn't it? It's just another level, isn't it? Wow. Yeah, okay.
It feels like quite a big jump going from 4 hours to 6 hours. But
Well, it is. Yeah. And what's the start of San Marino? San Marino? Milan San Remo, sorry, yeah. What's that like? Like, obviously you watch it on TV and there's a lot of... Do you feel like it's just a race when you turn up? Or is it... Is there, and maybe the same question for Roubaix, is there a different feeling about the race?
There's definitely a different feeling because the crowds are really big there. You go to the presentation and there'll be a few thousand people in the crowd all watching. It definitely feels bigger than another race. But yeah, San Remo was a bit weird because you leave the start and then we just ride for 4 hours pretty much in one line.
Yeah, right.
It was like raining, nobody was talking to each other.
Oh, okay.
And then you get to like the coast with maybe 80k to go and everyone's taking their clothes off and then you can start feel the race going. So that was a bit different. Just it felt like you're sort of on a group ride and then race at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, Roubaix and Flanders were different.
So, and again, this is a bit of a... Appreciate this is like a fan question, but you've obviously watched cycling for years, and suddenly in races with Pogačar, Van der Poel, and like, what's that like? Like, you're obviously they're obviously not on another level, like disrespectfully to you, but they're obviously elite, the top of the sport, aren't they? And the reality is you're right in that echelon with them. But also, 2 years ago, you're watching them on TV, and you're now riding next to them and getting in their way or trying to weave them as you go into corner. What's that like for you? Do you kind of, a bit of an awe? Is it's just like riding a Manx race? It's just another cyclist. What do you think about it or not?
I don't think about it too much in the race. Before the race, when you're like lining up and you see them, it's like, oh, I'm actually racing with them. But in the race towards the end, like you're told by all your teammates, just don't be scared. Doesn't matter who they are. You've got to do what you need to do.
Yeah,
so
right.
obviously it's cool seeing them next to each other. And it's a bit like a pinch me moment. But
yeah.
You a lot of the time you don't realise that you're riding next to them just because you're trying to concentrate on doing your thing.
Yeah. And do you see stepping up that level and like say that the two I mentioned that the people that don't know them are at the pointy end? I suppose it'd be like getting on a football pitch with Messi or whatever. Mm-hmm. Do you, if you look into the future of where you're going, whether you look that far ahead, people at the moment calling a few of them aliens because there's an elite 4 or 5, isn't there, that are unbelievable. Do you look at that as something that you can attain at one day? I appreciate you need to, I suppose, say, get more miles, get more training in, but...
I have the hope I can get there. I don't know if I will ever be able to be that good, but yeah, I hope I can be one day.
Yeah, I'd always be, don't know. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Roubaix. So, because we could probably spend an hour talking about Roubaix. So those that don't know it, get a life, look it up. So it's a race in Belgium, and it's, I don't know, actually, I presume it doesn't start in Paris, but somewhere near Paris. Right, goes to
It starts, just outside of Paris.
Yeah, 280k, it's a classic. It's over a lot of cobbles. And so it goes over cobble sections, which are different in cobbliness, if that's not a word, but in roughness. It's an iconic race that finishes in an old velodrome, like an outdoor track, but that's in a circle, like the tracks everyone watches at the Olympics, but it's outdoors. It's an absolutely iconic race, and you're riding it this year, and you were so the dynamics of racing, and jump in please Max anyway, is typically a break will get away in a race. Typically the idea is that then the main peloton will tend to sort of have them on a leash, they say, and there's a bit of a chicken and egg. Maybe the break try and push on so they don't get caught. Often they do, but sometimes they stay away as well. And also it's also good in a race like that for positioning, because when the race really kicks off, if the break's still away, you're at the pointy end of that race, which is, I know happened, and one of the guys, I think, finished in the top at 10, maybe, was in the break with you
Yeah, I
guys.
think there's 2 guys that finished in the top 10 in the end.
So you were in that break. You got, let's think about you going on. Had you done any training and recce'd the course, been on the cobbles before that?
I'd been in the cobbles in Belgium for the few weeks before, but all those cobbles are uphill, so they're a bit different. But I've never been on these roads now.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So they're other classic races with less cobbles on, let's call it. Yeah. Okay. So one of the famous places is, so you're away, got away quite early in that break, didn't you? And, I don't know, it was 100k, maybe 120k away. I don't know. It's probably burnt out of your memory now, haven't you?
I think, yeah, I was in the break 100, I don't know how long it was. I think it went at 20 kilometres in. The first sector was, I think, 150 kilometres in.
Right.
And then we got caught with 90 kilometres to go.
Yeah, okay. So probably 170k.
160k.
As you do, yeah.
Was that the plan before it?
Yeah.
Was that if there's a break, you're or you or a couple are to try and jump and get onto that?
Yeah, so it was me and Casper Asgreen's job to try getting a breakaway if we could. Obviously, I think there's maybe 40 or 50 people going from different teams. So to get in, it's quite hard. So he was following a few moves, I was following a few, and it was just not by chance, but a bit of luck that it was one that I went with.
So it's interesting because, again, like you say, at the start of the race, people are trying to get in the break, and sometimes that can be 100 kilometres till it goes away, depending on how hard. But my observation, you seem to get in a fair amount, and you mentioned the word luck there. Of course, there's always an element of luck, but also there's a reason you're getting in them. Is that something like you've had feedback from the team of like, because I've seen it even the previous years watching you race, and that you seem to be the one to be able to get into breaks. I wouldn't say it's like something you work on, but is that feedback you get that you're good at that? And
yeah, this feedback that I get is good. Yeah. They know that I'm good at picking out the right moves. I wouldn't say it's a skill. I think it was just, I don't know, like an instinct to follow the right moves.
That is a skill.
Obviously,
that instinct is a skill. Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't work all the time, but I can be quite successful at getting in it. So, yeah, for the breakaway, that was my role for that day. And if I don't get in it, then I would help position the leaders into the first few sectors. So, for me to get further into the race, I want to be in the break as well, because then I am going to get further than doing a lead out with 120k still. But yeah, it was a hard day.
Yeah. So I want to talk a bit about, so those again that don't watch it, you go through the first few, they call them sectors, the pavé, the cobbles that come a bit later, and then they were reeling you in, and it's a lot of that's driven by the other teams, I guess, of some of those teams that haven't got people in the break, or they're obviously, you're all trying to win it, but I suppose the favourites. So by default, they're chasing you down because they're pushing the front of the race because they want to get into cobble sections first to reduce the risk. So they caught you. There's Ardennes Forest, which is one of the roughest ones, I believe. You can tell me that's the case or not. And they went in there, they go in there. Well, they've changed the course slightly, haven't they? So you don't go flat out into it. But they're doing like, I don't know, 50k in there, 60k, who knows? You tell me. But they caught you in and around there, the break. What was that like? Because you're obviously tramping along on the, look, me and Mathieu are out riding, we think we're flying, and you come past us, we think like we're standing still. I guess you're probably not a dissimilar experience when you're going along, call you in a break 120 kilometres, and you're going and putting out 450 watts going, this is okay. And then you look over your shoulder and these guys are doing 600 because they're fresh as well. Yeah. What's that like?
It's pretty cool. All right, obviously, that was definitely the worst sector. I did it in the recon, and the sectors before, I was like, I don't know what. In my head, I was like, I don't know what people are complaining about. These aren't too bad. I'd obviously bad, but not too bad. And then I hit that one, and it felt like torture. But I jumped on the side of the road and didn't ride it in the recon. I
was going to say, because in the recon they ain't got the barriers, so you could soon go on the grass.
Yeah, so in the recon, I did it maybe like 15 seconds of it. And then, so like, I'll save myself for Sunday.
All right.
In the race, they changed like the way into it, so you're not hitting it at 30, 40 mile an hour, but you're you turn a corner onto it and you maybe have 50 meters to accelerate. And then, but it probably makes the cobbles, well, I don't know if it makes it better or worse. I've not done it the other way, but the slower you go on the cobbles, the more you feel it. So you're just like bouncing along and you can feel like your helmet just smashing against your glasses. And then, yeah, like halfway through, I see all the, like a camera motorbike pass me. And I was I can hear screams for like people who are maybe 15 seconds behind us. Like, oh, they're coming.
All right. And are they, I say screaming to you, but saying we're right, you're left, or they just...
No, I mean like the spectators.
Oh, I see.
Can hear,
yeah, okay.
Obviously the spectators shout for me, but then I can also hear the ones maybe 100 meters behind shouting, and they're only going to be shouting if there's people coming.
Yeah, right.
So then my thought was, I just need to get to the end of this sector, because it's one of the hardest ones, as fast as I can, so then I can do the next.
Do you feel when they're coming, you need to move out of the way? You just focused on, I just need to ride my line. They can get around me.
I just rode my line.
Yeah,
They can come around me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there isn't really a line on that road.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah. And is it they go past you and you're like, fucking hell, I thought I was moving. Sorry, my French.
Well, I didn't feel very fast on that sector, but yeah, they came past probably twice the speed, and then I'm there. It sort of helps distract you a bit, trying to get on their wheels, and then by the end of you're at the end of the sector before you know it. Then you've got, I think it was 10k until the next sector.
Yeah, okay. You get to the end of that sector, don't you take a sharp left, and says the man who's never ridden it. And obviously going back on the tarmac, it must be amazing.
It is nice, but your legs just feel numb.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's like feels weirdly smooth.
Right.
You just can't feel your legs at all for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes after the sectors. It's a bit of a weird feeling.
Right, okay. Yeah. I suppose you'd think about like balls might come out of your cage, riding on the cobbles and stuff like that. And again, I guess eating as well, you have to think about doing that between the cobble sections.
Yeah, so you finish the cobble sectors, your legs are all numb, your hands are all sore, then you're thinking about trying to get some fuel in you before the next one, or trying to grab a bottle from a helper on the side of the road. Yeah. And then there'll be people attacking at the same time.
Swearing at them. Did you wear gloves?
I wore gloves, and I also put a load of physio tape around all my fingers. And,
okay.
And also my wrists to help support them a bit.
Okay,
it definitely helped, yeah.
Right, okay, interesting.
I didn't have any blisters.
Was that a recommendation from others, or just...
I've just seen people do it in the past.
Right.
And, yeah, some of the people who'd done it before were putting a bit of tape on their fingers, so I was sort of just looking over and copying them.
Yeah. So then moving on to the I suppose the leaders. I think after that section there was a few of them, but they obviously just rode off as they do. Do you then get in a group? Talk us about the rest of that race. Did you end up with a group that you end up kind of the same kind of speed that you can work with then, or?
Yeah. So when I got caught by the front, our leader of the team had just punctured. So then I was trying to stay at the front for as long as possible until he hopefully got back. I then got dropped on one of the next cobble sectors. I was in a group of maybe 5 or 10 of all of us just going as hard as we could still. And then the next sector, my teammate came past on the cobbles, so I couldn't actually get on his wheel. So I couldn't actually help him at all in the end, which was a bit of a shame.
Does he give you a shout as they come past?
A bit, yeah. Trying to like encourage.
Yeah. Or jump on or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, you're having a laugh, aren't you?
Yeah. So I tried to do that, but yeah, I couldn't stay with him. And then, yeah, for the rest of the race, I think I was in like groups of 5, and it would make it to 10, and then some people catch you from behind. So I was in a group of maybe 25, 30.
Right.
And that was it. I was in a group with Ben Swift, which was
okay.
Nice to see familiar faces at that point, yeah.
Yeah, right, okay.
And everyone's still racing as hard as they can.
Who was your leader in that race?
Madis Mikkels. He's 2 years younger than me, so yeah, I think 21 maybe.
Right.
He was top 10 or 10th last year. This year he was 12th.
Okay, right.
Yeah, would have been maybe higher if he hadn't punctured. Yeah.
Yeah. So part of, again, we were talking earlier about the pre-race conversations, is that like there are situations where you might have to sacrifice your bike. What happens in those conversations? You say you're with him and he had a puncture. Do they say, give him, not knowing his size, give him your bike, or is it you need to, is there any of that?
Well, in our bikes we had, like in the wheels, we had some inserts. So if you puncture, it still feels like you've got maybe 20 psi. Right. So like a low pressure, but enough to ride to the end of the sectors. And then pretty much after every sector, we'd have a staff member stood with wheels. So if you did like when he punctured, when the race was kicking off, he had to ride to the end of the sector, then change it, and then go again. Because the cars with all the spare wheels are off. And like,
In Mars bar.
yeah, it didn't take past me for another 30 minutes after I was dropped.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the, I guess, the challenge as well. And so the team are out handing bottles out as well, but you miss one of them, I guess.
That race was quite easy because
Right.
there was 20 sectors and there's people after every sector. So
okay.
if you lost the bottle on the cobbles, you could just pick one up straight afterwards.
Yeah, and if you didn't grab it. And what's it like riding into the velodrome in the end?
Well, it was pretty cool,
Too
but
effing tired to care.
it was probably the most carnage of all the race because our group came in. There was another group coming round.
Oh,
So you
okay.
do like a lap and a half.
Yeah.
So the other group were coming round with 30, with a half a lap to go, and we're coming on to the side. So we all nearly crash into them.
Oh, right.
Everyone's just like riding with their heads down. We got caught by like another group of 20 behind coming onto it. So they're all like flying up the inside. I think, yeah, half the people in our group just sprinted, pretending they were in the other group.
Oh, okay.
There's people in that other group doing like 2.5 laps instead of 1.5 lap. Then when it finishes.
Chaos,
So it's just chaos, yeah.
Yeah, right. And so in Roubaix, again, there's these iconic showers, still like stone. They're just like stone showers. And there's iconic images. Obviously, luckily it was a dry year, wasn't it? But when it's been wet and whatever, you get these iconic pictures. So, is that again, not knowing, is that just a photo shoot opportunity that they take a few leaders in, or do you get to even look at them?
Yeah, anyone can go.
Right.
So I wanted to go because I've obviously seen people do it. It's sort of like tradition to go. So I went with a few of my teammates who had not been before. Some of the teammates who had been and done it before didn't bother.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, you go in, but it's a bit strange because obviously showers are normally quite private.
Yeah.
But you walk in, the cubicles are all open.
This is what I expected.
Yeah, and there's maybe 20 photographers in there.
Oh,
Like each team, like our social media team was in there taking pictures of us. Each team has them, and then there's like the race photographers as well. So you're sort of
not much privacy.
in the shower, like with all these cameras around. It's a bit strange.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So then, after races like that, and other races, you typically asked, you need to ride back to the caravan, the what's the right word? Coach, or what's the right word? I don't know. Your coach.
The bus, yeah.
The bus. Sorry, yeah. Hard word. So that's for you to. Is that they're typically nearby? I assume.
Yeah, it's normally within a couple of minutes.
And do they have showers on them themselves?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Our bus has a triple shower.
Oh, right. Okay.
So if you're not close enough to your teammates, you are after that.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause, if it's like a wet stage, everyone wants to jump in the
Yeah,
shower at the
right,
same time.
okay.
And it's just literally one big shower with 3 different heads coming down.
Oh, okay. And is it first come, first served type of basis?
Yeah, so normally I'm the last one to
Oh,
get
right.
in. I've had it once in Paris Nice, it was snowing and the hot water ran out.
Oh,
halfway
really?
through the shower, yeah.
Oh,
But it wasn't too bad.
yeah, right. Jesus. All right, okay. And then, okay. And then obviously you get commute. So the other thing then, obviously, say a races or stage races, it's 4 or 5 hours. Do you have a lot of like downtime around that? Like I don't know. Do you go to bed at like 10? You get up at, because most of the races start towards midday more, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of downtime where you're killing time?
You have a little bit, but I'd say most of your downtime's travelling to the start of the stage and then travelling back because it's normally, in Paris Nice, because you're moving from the north of France to the south, it's probably on average about an hour before the stage and then an hour afterwards. And then, so that's most of your downtime. When you get back, you normally have a massage and then like you won't get back till the race finishes at 4. You probably leave maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock, get back at 6. You'll have a massage for an hour, then go straight for dinner, and then you maybe have an hour until you fall asleep.
Right.
So there's not much downtime, but
Yeah.
it's only a week longer than you
Yeah,
can as much downtime as you want.
Yeah, true. See, I know. Go on.
No, I was just going to say there what you said about in between them. How do you find all that travelling around? Especially in between races where you've got Paris Nice, Roubaix, all these ones in between. Do you get a lot of downtime in between in that? And I guess that as well is like, how are you at travelling and that difference of moving around all the time, especially from Australia doing that, and then coming straight into the cold of the Europe and that side to it all.
It's not been too bad this year because Australia was there for just a month and we only had to change hotel once, so that wasn't bad. And then from all of March, it was Paris and the sort of the classic races. We were all the time in Belgium. We were in the same hotel, so the travelling's I've not found too bad. It's obviously a bit intense being on the road for, I think it was 5.5 weeks. Always with staff members, which isn't obviously a bad thing, but it's a bit more pressure than if you're just at home. But I don't mind it. I find it quite relaxing anyway.
How do you feel these like people learn to play chess or learn like do you do much in that downtime, or is it more just like to phone family and whatever?
Just have brain rot on my phone really. Phone the family, watch some TikToks. I'm normally quite tired, but like from in the race you have to actually concentrate quite a lot. So
I suppose that's something I've thought about a lot, that you got kind of 5 hours of kind of focus.
Sort of like feels similar like
physical
to doing like an exam for like obviously there's points in races where you can sort of daydream a bit, but a lot of the time you're having to concentrate on like riding the bunch or pressing hard on the pedals or anything like that. I'm normally quite tired afterwards, so sometimes I'll just sleep or just not really do anything.
Let's get a bit nerdy again then. We talked earlier about power. So even in like 4 months, can you see a change in your, let's call it power and improvement?
During the races, I wouldn't say the power improves, like the peak powers, but I'd say the being able to do them at the end of the race improves, and just not feeling as tired. Like my fatigue definitely gets a lot better from racing.
Do you have to journal around that and talk about it, or is it just talking to you? Does it more just talk to your coach?
It's more just talking to my coach, like letting them know how I feel on each training. The biggest differences I find is you don't fatigue as much, and maybe just like the race fitness of going really hard and recovering fast and going really hard again, that definitely improves. But like one-off power, I wouldn't say, for me anyway, doesn't get any better.
Right. So I've got a couple of questions just around the team in general. So I bumped into you last week. So again, this isn't nerdy cycling questions, so apologies that if people want really nerdy. So your teammate was in a race, Powerless, where he got away with 3 riders from the same team. And typically in that, when there's 4 of you then and he's outnumbered 3-1, the chances of him winning are pretty much 0. The team he was away with was probably the second best team in the world. No offense to EF, but they're obviously a very strong team, aren't they? And they got one of the good, Tour de France stage winning sprinters. Anyway, they Powerless beat them, and it was, I wouldn't say it was funny to watch, but it was. I'm sure. A lot. I think it was a bit of a shit show for them, and I think they made a couple of mistakes there. But what was that like? Because you were at that race, and what was that like for, obviously, statistically, you probably had a 2% chance of winning coming into the end of that race. What was that like, and when your teammates are winning, and how was that dealt with as a team, celebrating, I guess? And
that was a really nice day, because we'd been the group that was at that race. It was pretty much the same team from Paris and all the other races. So we'd been together for a while and been close to a few victories. And then, when you see him at the end, it's like, oh, we'll be on the podium. It'll be nice, but you don't think he's going to beat Wout van Aert, especially when he's got 2 other teammates there. And then, I remember watching the replay, and it's just, you couldn't help but like laugh at the situation, but just like laugh out of happiness that he'd won, and then also that you couldn't really believe it. And after the race, it was really nice. He was saying, like, the first thing you would do is say thank you to everyone, because we'd all helped him a little bit in the race. Obviously, he'd done the main thing of winning. Then that night was nice. We had a few drinks, made sure to celebrate it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was a man. I don't know, you saw it, Matty, but it's a race that people compare back to when a guy called Ian Stannard was with three riders from another team, and his situation was a bit different because he wasn't working with them, and then he attacked them where Powell's was working with them up till like 3K to go.
Yeah, I think he stopped. He got told to not work with them at one point, and then they started attacking him. So then, it was a better decision to ride with them, and then if they're not going to attack him, then try your odds in the sprint.
Yeah. Yeah, ace. And then a couple others. So I don't know whether you've come across, as in, because I get the impression you mentioned there, you kind of worked with the same team for almost like a group of riders kind of follow. So there's kind of, I guess, different groups. So Healy, who's an Irish rider, he's a very good classics rider. So I don't know whether he's been in all the same race doing Ardennes or just finished the Ardennes, hasn't he? But he's had some good results as well recently.
Yeah.
He kind of hit the scene, I guess, from a top level a couple of years ago. He had some big results in the classics as well. So have you come across? Have you spent time with him? What's he like?
I was on Trinity with him a couple of years ago.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I knew him from that. I've not actually raced for him this year.
Right.
I'm hoping to at some point, but yeah. I know him quite well. He's really nice, and obviously a very strong biker.
Yeah, probably like 50 kilo, whatever he weighs, isn't it?
But rides at 50k an hour if you were.
Yeah, it's bonkers, isn't it? So what's the rest of the season look like? I know you've got a bit of time on the island now. We're recording this early to mid-May.
Yeah,
what's next?
My next race is called Boules de la Mayenne. I'm sure I'm not getting the pronunciation right, but a race in France. It's 4 days long. Starts with a TT, then a few lumpy stages in Brittany.
Right.
And then after that, I do another race in France in the Pyrenees.
Okay.
That's middle of June. After that, I think it's Tour of Austria.
Okay, yeah.
In July. And then I'm not sure. I do know my calendar, just can't remember all the races. It's pretty much a stage race every 2 or 3 weeks, really.
Okay.
And a lot of them have town trials in because that's what I want to.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so obviously that's a very good discipline for you. Is that part of the thinking there as well? That maybe during that stage race, obviously, I assume you're there to help a leader, but also see what you can produce.
Yeah, so like when we go back to like the first meeting in the camp, it was, because I'm signed for 3 years, we want to use this year to just try expose me to as much different racing and sort of try see what type of rider I am.
Yeah.
Like just try get as much experience as I can. So in these races coming up on like the normal stages, I'm sure I'll be trying to do a job for one of the more experienced guys, but then also I want to concentrate on the time trials because that's where I feel like I'm naturally good at as well. I got some good results last year. So yeah, coming up to these races, I've been trying to do as much on the TT bike as I can while still being able to do like my job and help the other riders on the other stages. So yeah, that's what I'll target for my own results, and then the rest of the stages I'll be quite satisfied just trying to help the team win.
Yeah. Have you been in wind tunnels? Have you done any of that work?
I've never done that yet. No, maybe something I'll do this winter. I've done little things like getting scanned into the computer and it can sort of tell you how area you are, but a lot of the time it's just I'll go do a time trial and maybe tinker with the position a bit. You can sort of see if the position's better based on you've gone faster with the same power or not.
Yeah, right. I saw a clip. It must be a full interview, but Adam Blythe was he was with Remco. Remco was in a wind tunnel, and he was talking about just this. I was amazed actually. Obviously, we know how scientific the sport is, but Remco has a position. For those that don't know him, he's quite a small rider, isn't he? He's type of really good time trialer for someone who's used the word small. Well, not very good. One of the best in the world. And but he was changing his position slightly to be slightly more, whatever time trialer focusing on. I think it's in the Tour de France, it's slightly more lumpy. So they're just bringing his position up ever so slightly, which might sound counterintuitive because he's putting him into the wind, but it gives him more leverage through the hips, I think, to put more power through. So, they were moving it, a couple of centimetres here and there, to adjust the position, but doing like 10-minute tests in the wind tunnel. But I imagine, again, so you're very good at that, and as you get more and more at the pointy end, they'll look at those marginal gains and
I think I need to sort of prove myself at this level before I start getting that.
Before they spend money on you, sticking you in the wind tunnel.
That's fair enough from them. I still need to prove that I'm worth it.
Yeah. Wow. So if you recap on that first sort of, I suppose, first quarter or half of the year, I presume you're really happy with where you're at. I use the word results because first year pro isn't it for those that are not into cycling, but any sport, it's about just learning the trade, getting the extra 80 kilometres for those longer races. Like I said at the start, you always seem to be in the wind. You must be, I assume, really happy with what's going on.
yeah, I'm happy with how it's gone. It's been really fun so far, and it's just, like, it does feel sometimes like a different sport with how you have to ride the bike, but at the same time, it's all you got to do is push the pedals hard. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the second half of the season and hopefully more of the same.
And you're loving it, I assume.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, fair play, and obviously we love following you. Yeah, and I appreciate you spending a bit of time on you're on the Alaman training camp.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, so we might see you out on the road and wait for us. So yeah, thanks for coming in, Max. Appreciate it. And hopefully we'll catch up later on the year.
Thank you. Thanks for the chat.
Cheers. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's word out from Martin.
And word out from Matt.
Poor flimsy humans. Don't you wish you were flawless like me? A towering inferno of physical perfection?
I hate to pop your blimp-like ego, but you're not perfect.